Hey everybody, this is James Wilson with MTBStrengthCoach.com, and today I wanted to talk to you about your MTB Performance Wheel. Now, I'll be the first to admit I didn't invent the concept of the Performance Wheel. Many other coaches have used this idea to try to talk to athletes in other sports about how they should look at training and how everything integrates and interrelates with each other. But to my knowledge, nobody's really brought this concept to mountain biking, and considering that we know better than most athletes how spoke tension can affect the strength and integrity of a wheel, I think this example is a little more appropriate for us anyway. So let's say, for example, we'll just, that you've got a wheel that's out of true. It's gotten knocked out of whack and you take it to the shop, or maybe you know how to do it yourself. The last thing that you're going to do with that wheel is pop it up in the stand and just start randomly tightening spokes and see what happens. That's never the approach that you would take. You're going to check and see, where are the loosest spokes? You always want to start with the loosest spokes and see how tightening them is going to affect the rest of the spoke tension. So you find the loosest spoke, you do a turn or so on it, you check and see where the next loosest spoke is, and you just continue that process until you've achieved a round true wheel with equal spoke tension. That's what you're looking for from your wheel. And that approach is the same exact approach that you should take when looking at your training program. But unfortunately, that's not what happens. A lot of times when riders try to get into a training program, they just will randomly start picking things. They'll pick like a cardio program from one place and a strength program from another, and do like some stretches that they learned in gym class, and like take some supplements that their riding buddies swear by, and just mix it all together and hope on the other end that they come out a fitter, faster, better rider. And unfortunately, that's not always the case. And in fact, that's one of the main reasons I think a lot of riders are frustrated and feel like training maybe doesn't have a lot to offer them, because that's the approach they've tried in the past and it didn't work for them. Taking the example of the wheel, your performance wheel, you're looking to achieve uniform spoke tension, nice strong round true wheel. So taking what we know we would the approach we would take with a regular wheel off of our bike for our training, what should you do? You need to find the loosest spoke on your MTB Performance Wheel and attack it first. And so, in no particular order, these are the 9 areas or spokes that I've identified that are going to help you perform better on your bike. And in no particular order, there's strength, power, mobility, cardio endurance, nutrition, that includes supplements, your bike setup, your technical skills, your mindset and focus, and your recovery, things that help you recover from your training. So those 9 things are what are going to affect your performance on the bike. And whether you're aware of them or not doesn't matter. Those are the things that are going to affect you. Now, off of that list, there's probably a couple things that you recognize. Most riders definitely work on cardio endurance, and may do some strength, and bike setup is huge. I mean, that's pretty much the entire mountain bike industry is set up to convince you that bike setup is the most important thing for you, what you've got on your bike and how it's set up and stuff like that. But other things like mobility, mindset, things like that, those probably have not really entered your mind and aren't focal points of your training. And so, not being aware of those areas can hold you back. And so, again, what you want to do when you decide, all right, what do I need to accomplish? What do I want to accomplish as a rider? Check that performance wheel and see where's your loosest spoke. That's what's going to help you improve the quickest. Now, let me give you an example of how this works. Let's say that you've decided you need better endurance, strength endurance. You feel good at the beginning of a ride, but towards the end of a race or a trail ride or whatever the case may be, whenever you need to lay power down, you just don't seem to have it. And so, okay, you need to increase your endurance. So obviously, the thing you need to start working on is your cardio spoke, right? And maybe your bike setup. Look to drop some weight off your bike. Well, maybe, but I think there may be more to the story than that. Now let's say that you come to me and after checking, we look and we see like, okay, yeah, your cardio could definitely probably use some work. I mean, your bike's pretty good. We don't really need to worry about that. But, man, your mobility is terrible. Like you can't even touch your toes. And so by far, that's your loosest spoke on your performance wheel. And, you're tempted, oh, man, come on, let's just crank a few more cranks on that cardio spoke and see what happens. it's not going to work out well for you. I guarantee it. You know, you need to address your weakest area. You know, the only way to strengthen a chain is to strengthen its weakest link. And so you find that weak link, you find that loose spoke. In this case, we're saying mobility is that loose spoke. That's your glaring weakness. And so you start to work on mobility. You know, really start, working on your stretching on a daily basis, doing your foam rolling, doing your dynamic mobility moves and stuff like that. And after about 3 to 4 weeks, you really start to notice a difference in your overall mobility levels. Now you can touch your toes. And on the bike, you just feel more fluid. You feel like, you can move freer, and you just don't seem to fatigue as quickly. Well, what's happened is twofold. When you get better mobility, it allows you to get into better, more efficient positions on your bike, and it also is going to lower your muscle tension levels. And both of those things are going to help you make better, more efficient use of the energy and cardio capacity that you already have. And so without even touching your cardio spoke, so to speak, by tightening that weakest link, you saw it have a positive effect on everything else in your performance wheel. And so now let's say, okay, I've got my mobility levels up. Now what's the next thing? And you go and you check again. And this time you find out that your technical skills, are your weakest link. You just don't have very good technical skills. And again, the traditional approach, is to just, okay, if I need better endurance, is to just get out and hammer the cardio. Well, again, you trust my approach and you start working on your technical skills. And again, after a few weeks, you find on the trail, you're able to corner more efficiently. You understand how to hold your body better when maneuvering over obstacles and stuff. And again, you have better endurance, and what's happened again is you've allowed your body to make more efficient use of what you already have. And so, after doing that a few times and tightening up what loose spokes, you need to, now eventually, okay, you get to the point where, okay, you know what? Cardio is my loose spoke. Now I can start working on my cardio a little more intensely. But guess what? Because you've gone back and you've tightened those other spokes and you've laid that foundation, you're going to get far more out of your cardio training, and you're not going to be as likely to incur an injury as you would if you hadn't addressed some of those other underlying things. So again, the fastest way to get the results you're looking for isn't always a straight line. And so sometimes working on other aspects like mobility and technical skills that you don't understand, how is this going to help my cardio? How is this going to directly relate to my cardio? It will, if you understand how everything is not compartmentalized. It's all interrelated. And improving your weakest link is going to improve the integrity and strength of your entire performance wheel and help you on the trail. So again, the basic take-home concept is you need to be aware of these 9 factors. Again, just because you're not aware of them doesn't mean that they don't affect you. So you need to be aware of these 9 factors, and you need to continually keep an eye on them and grade yourself on what's your strongest point, what's your weakest point. And if you're spending most of your time working on strong points, if you've already got a $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 bike that's about as light as you can get it, and you spend all of your time, reading magazines and worrying about how you can shave another few grams off of your bike while you can't even touch your toes, wrong approach. It's a wrong way to go about it. So again, just understand that all these things interrelate, and work on your weakest link. Tighten that loosest spoke, and you'll see everything else improve. That's the fastest way to get better on your mountain bike. So again, just kind of an interesting little concept for you to think about, the MTB Performance Wheel, and how it should affect the way that you approach your training. So again, this has been James Wilson with MTBStrengthCoach.com. Hope you guys have enjoyed this one. I'll talk to you next time.